I'm here only to give you a small orientation on political science to try and help you make a decision. I'll try to give you a little information about political science, the content, the performance of political science in the civil services exam, the success rate, and how it is going to help you in your preparation. And whether students with diverse backgrounds will be feeling comfortable with political science or not. These are the several things that we'll be discussing today. This is in the form of, let me say, an orientation. Also, we'll try and very briefly discuss the syllabus of political science. What exactly does the syllabus in political science contain? And what are the various myths associated with political science? You know that there are a lot of myths, isn't it? A lot of people keep saying a lot of things about political science. But of course, you also know that in recent times, political science has emerged as a very popular optional in civil services. Apart from others like anthropology, sociology, political science has emerged as a very, very important and a very serious choice of students preparing for civil services. Now, why is it that political science has in recent times attained so much of popularity? We look at that also. We look at how political science is going to help you. We'll try and understand political science from a scientific point of view, from a scientific perspective. We'll actually look at the statistics. We'll look at the facts about political science and how it's going to help us. We'll try to dissect the syllabus and see political science. What is it that we have as major content in political science? We'll look at that. Okay. But before all this, let me try and give a brief introduction about myself. My name is Gautam. I am faculty for political science and international relations for a very, very long time. I've been associated with political science both as an aspirant, aspiring for civil services, just like you are all, as well as faculty. I've been to the civil services interview with political science as one of my optionals in 2004 and 2007. In 2007, at that time, we had 600 marks for optionals. I could manage 334 out of 600, which is supposedly a good score in political science. Okay. And after that, I worked as government degree college lecturer teaching political science for students. And then I resigned from the job. And since then, I've been associated with coaching and I've had an experience of approximately around 20 years teaching political science and international relations, Indian polity, governance, various segments of governance for both the civil services as well as the premier state services like Group 1. I continue to teach political science and I've had the opportunity of guiding hundreds of students with political science as one of their options. It is with this background that I can say that I understand the subject. I've worked as an aspirant, I told you, right? I did my master's in political science at Hyderabad Central University. I also pursue research in political science. And my topic was Indian government and politics, in which I pursued research in political science. So I was associated with the subject for a very long time. It's not that I've picked up this subject as a part of my preparation for civil services. I've had an academic background on this subject. I've tasted success with political science in civil services. I've been teaching political science for a very long time. I've been mentoring a lot of students also. A lot of students of mine have tasted success in political science. They've seen good results in civil services. So this is about myself, my background, and my association with political science. And this is the first thing that I want to tell you. I wanted to impress upon you that, see, the experience that I have amassed in political science makes me tell you that political science is a very, very good choice for civil services. Okay, it's a very good choice. And why is that so? Because the scheme of the civil services examination is very much, in synchrony with political science. The demands of the examination, the demands of the civil services examination, the lot of segments that you have, which you require to prepare as a part of your general studies, and the very nature of the examination, which requires candidates to be update and interdisciplinary, All are the very same qualities which you require for political science as well. And that's the reason why political science is a very popular optional. Students have realized that with this optional, they actually have a better chance and getting stronger in other segments of civil services. With political science, you have an opportunity of getting stronger in other segments of civil services. We'll see that very soon. Okay. Now, what is it that political science? What is its nature? Okay. Nature of the optional called political science. Asal aim untai subject. First, let me tell you that there are a lot of myths around about political science. Political thought untadanta, political philosophy untadanta. Okay. Okati kadu rendu subjects chadavali anta. Paper 1 consists of political theory and Indian government and politics. Paper 2 consists of international politics. Okay. Actually, both of them are subject matter of political science only. It is not two different subjects actually. Here, you study about the political process that happens in a country. The basic theoretical framework for the birth and evolution of several concepts, as well as Indian government and politics. This is paper 1. And paper 2 consists of the theories of international relations and Indian foreign policy. It's about international politics. So the subject matter of both paper 1 and paper 2 are the same. They're not different. But people say that rendu subjects chadavali ani, which actually is not correct. Okay. So to begin with, let us try and set aside all these myths and get to know the reality of political science and international relations. The reality of this option. First, please remember that political science is considered as a background neutral optional. It means no matter what your background is, you can still feel very comfortable with political science. You can feel comfortable with political science. That's the first thing. Okay, this is Aristotle actually, father of political science. And what is the subject matter of political science? The science that studies the supreme good for man is politics. You know, that's his understanding of politics, because he considers politics as a process which affects every person's life. Okay. So first, as I told you, political science is a background neutral optional. Whether your background is technical, whether you are from BTech background or whether you are from literature background or arts or humanities, whatever is your background, you can still feel comfortable with political science. Okay. It's background neutral. The concepts are very general. The concepts that you study in political science are very general and they are non-technical. You don't have any big theories that you require to, understand or formulae that you require to mug up. Okay, it's very, very general. Political science as an optional is very general. First, so the non-technical nature of this subject makes it amenable. Okay, let me be very straight and frank here that there is nothing in political science that you cannot understand. There is nothing. There is nothing in political science that you cannot understand. Please remember this first. Okay. Second, political science as an optional has very rich content. The content of political science is very rich. It means you study political thought, you study Indian constitution, Indian polity, for example. You study modern Indian history. You study strategies of freedom struggle, the perspectives on Indian freedom struggle. You study about Indian political thought. You study Gandhi, Ambedkar, Aurobindo, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. You study M.N. Roy. All these are major political thinkers of modern India. All of them have contributed very richly to Indian political thought. You study about them. You study Western political thought. You understand the concepts like liberty, equality, the concept of justice, the idea of democracy. All this you study as a part of section 8 paper 1. Section B paper 1 you have Indian political thought. You have Indian government and politics in section B paper 1. As a part of this, you study Indian constitution, Indian politics, social movements in India, the political issues in India, all these things. All the things that you study as a part of Indian polity, you will be studying as a part of section B, paper 1. Okay. So you study political thought, you study about concepts, you also study about Indian political thought, you also study about freedom struggle, you also study about Indian constitution and political process in India. This has got a very rich content, as I told you. Paper 2 contains provisions related to what are called as comparative politics. You know, in this year, in general studies, preliminary, there were 2 questions that were asked from a comparative perspective between Indian and American political system. Okay. Even in civil services mains also, there were questions which are related to general studies mains. There were questions that are related to comparative politics between India and America. Okay. So, comparative politics, this is a very, very simple topic actually. We'll look at the syllabus more deeply. First, let me just try and introduce you to the optional, what it contains. Okay. So, section A, paper 2 contains comparative politics 1. It's a very simple concept. And you also have international relations, the theories of international relations, the practice of diplomacy, United Nations Organization, World Trade Organization, right? You study about the concepts related to nuclear deterrence, you know, all these are a part of section A, paper 2. This is the theories related to international relations. Section B, paper 2 is about Indian foreign policy, the determinants of Indian foreign policy. What's the nature of India's interaction with the world? How did India interact with the United Nations Organization? What were the major challenges that India had faced in World Trade Organization? How the World Bank had contributed towards India's economic developmental efforts? You know, all these constitute important parts of section B, paper 2. This very broadly is the content of political science. You know, you study political thought, you study about various theories related to political thinking and concepts, you study about Indian freedom struggle, you study Indian constitution and Indian politics, you study international relations, you study Indian foreign policy, you know. So the content in political science is very varied and very rich. That's the reason why a lot of students find political science very interesting. Of course, please remember that the content in optionals sometimes can be interesting and sometimes can be dry and disinteresting also. And in political science, the advantage is that because the syllabus is very varied and very rich, you don't find political science disinteresting or boring. Okay, there are some students who like section B, paper 1. There are some students who like section B, paper 2. You know, every student's interests vary, but overall, political science has got a very rich content. Please understand this. Okay, that's the second thing that I want to tell you about. It's background neutral. It's got a very rich content. And thirdly, whether political science is manageable or not. It's manageable or not. It's manageable, perfectly manageable. Okay, the syllabus is not very vast. The syllabus is not very vast. Syllabus is manageable, 1. And second, there is a way through which we can get very, very high scores in political science. 300 plus is a score that was considered as a high score at that time when we were writing the examination. Okay, now in political science, 130 plus, out of 500 marks, isn't it? We have 500 marks. So around 300 marks out of 500 is very much gettable now in political science. So our target in political science is to reach a score of 300 plus. That's the target. So when we discuss political science, when we start practicing answers, we'll always keep in mind that, yeah, we'll develop our content, but we'll also target the examination so that we get a score of 300 plus. That's the target. Okay. So whether the political science optional is manageable or not, it's very much manageable. It's a doable optional, as I told you. It's very much doable. It means there are ways through which you can score high marks in political science. There are ways. Okay. It's that we will get to know. So content, as I told you, is not very difficult. It's non-technical. It's very general. It's very easily understandable. And there are ways, techniques through which you can get very, very high scores in political science. Therefore, the optional is very much doable optional. Okay. Now, I understand that Students who are beginning their journey in civil services, they are novice. You don't know really much about anything, isn't it? Do you know? Have you done your research? Have you done your background work? Nothing, isn't it? I was an aspirant, I told you, kada? I've been to the interview in 2004 and 2007. But when I started my journey of civil services in 1999, 1 century earlier, okay, in 1999, I started my journey in civil services. But when I started my journey, I just didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about this exam. I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know the journey. It took a century, the turn of century for me to understand this. So from 1999, I required to enter into the next century, 2000, before I just got to know some basics about this exam. And after that, it took me 4 attempts to clear my mains. You know, it took me 4 mains to clear the mains and go to the interview. I've been 2004. Okay. Now, the point that I'm trying to tell you is that we all start our journey as novices. We don't know much about anything. We sit in the class. We listen to what the teacher says. We make our notes. Okay. We try to go back to the room and make sense of the notes. We try to read the relevant textbooks. We speak to mentors who will, in their own capacity, try and guide us. Okay, they'll tell us, you read this, you read that, you read this, you practice this answer. Okay, you write your answer and bring it to me, I'll evaluate your answer. You know, all this keeps going on. All this keeps going on. And let me say, after 7 or 8 months into this coaching, you will slowly start realizing what this exam is all about. You'll slowly start getting the feel of this exam. After 6 months or 7 months into your coaching. Okay. And from then onwards, getting exam ready is another journey. You'll first learn the content, kada? You'll first learn the content. You'll first develop your knowledge base. You'll start gaining more and more awareness. You'll start finishing the entire syllabus. And after finishing that, the next part of your journey begins. And that is targeting the exam and getting exam ready. You know, for me, my personal experience, between getting the knowledge and knowing the exam to cracking the mains exam, preliminary clear cheyadam important kadani. Clearing the mains is the important thing. And clearing the mains, it took me a journey of 3.5 years. 3.5 years of journey it took me to travel the distance between getting the knowledge and cracking the exam. That's the journey, you know. That's the second part of the journey. So everything is not over. When you start acquiring knowledge, everything is not over. It's the beginning of the journey. Okay, please understand this very clearly, very carefully. See, you all have decided to take civil services examination. Those of you who are technical in their academic background, they might be having a lot of innovations about how to approach a non-technical subject like political science. Political science is really a non-technical subject, isn't it? The concepts are very general. Okay. Now you study in your sciences 2 atoms of hydrogen combines with 1 atom of oxygen to make water, and that's the truth. It doesn't change. There is nothing very general about that. It's very precise. It's very clear. It's very scientific, isn't it? 2 atoms of hydrogen combines with 1 atom of oxygen to make water. Finished. But in political science, it's not like that. It's very general. It's very general, you know. In good number of the arts subjects, the concepts are very general. And that makes it slightly tricky for the students with technical background when they start having doubts whether I should go for this or not. Okay. But here, let me tell you that political science, as I told you, the concepts are so general that there is nothing very technical for you here. Right? The only thing is that in political science, the subject goes in a flow. It's based on understanding and the subject goes in a flow. You must have studied about thinkers, isn't it? Oh, which is the thinker who appeals to you the most? Which thinker appeals to you the most? So tell me some thinker whom you know. Plato.
Thomas Rousseau.
Okay. So, what is it that Rousseau is saying?
About general will.
About him. What is the fundamental aim of Jean-Jacques Rousseau? What's his aim? Populous
Power should be in the hands of people.
power should be in the hands of the people. Popular sovereignty. You know, the word that she used here was popular sovereignty. Sovereignty means supreme power. Popular sovereignty means people wielding supreme power. Is called as popular sovereignty. It's so simple. Okay, you don't know. It seems something that's out of the blue, but once you know it, it's very simple. It's very easy, isn't it? That's how political science always is. So don't be hesitant about political science because of its non-technical nature, because you don't have theories. Okay, in political science, there is nothing that you cannot understand. One, was there something that you could not understand in political science as a part of your graduation? No. Am I right when I said that there is nothing that you cannot understand in political science? Am I right or not? Yeah, this is exactly what I'm saying. There is nothing in political science that you cannot understand. One. Two, political science is based on understanding. Political science is a subject which is based on understanding. Okay? Understand. You require to understand the thinker. That's the key in political science. But once you understand the thinker, it stays in your mind. It will never go. And that's the reason why she could very easily tell me, what is it that Rousseau is all about? Yeah, Rousseau is all about popular sovereignty. That's what he is. When he says that there is something called general will, and it is this general will which should be the basis for every political action or for construction of every political institution. She understands that. Once you have that understanding, okay, it will be there in your mind. There is nothing in political science that you will have to memorize. Am I right about this or not? Is there something that you require to keep in memory? Long narratives that you require to memorize? Nothing. You require to only have understanding. Second aspect about political science. Okay, there is nothing in political science that you might have to memorize. Yeah, of course, a few articles here and there, right? There are 3 chapters in Indian polity in which you'll have to remember each and every article. Okay, fundamental rights, directive principles, Panchayat Raj institutions. But you know how much time it takes for a student to memorize these articles. Tell me, Article 12, what is that? You don't remember? You know, it won't take more than 10 minutes for any student to memorize articles in fundamental rights. Article 12, definition of state. Article 13, definition of law. Article 14, equality before law. Article 15, prohibition of discrimination. Article 16, prohibition of discrimination in public appointments. Article 17, abolition of untouchability. ఒక్కొక్క ఆర్టికల్ కి ఒక్కొక్క చిన్న ఫ్రేజ్. Article 18, abolition of titles. Article 19, the 6 freedoms. Article 20, protection with respect to convictions. Article 21, right to life and personal liberty. You know, ఒక్కసారి that list, if you compile all the articles in fundamental rights, it won't take you more than 15 to 20 minutes to memorize. It's that easy. Okay, so a few things that you require to keep in memory, which is also required, of course, for your general studies. Ante, political science kuda. There is nothing in political science that you'll have to memorize or mug up. Please remember this. Okay, the subject is based on understanding. Third, okay, next, fourth. As I told you, political science is an optional which is the most relevant in the present scheme of the civil services exam. As I told you, the present scheme of civil service examination is based on 2 important principles. Okay, the present scheme of civil services examination. Right? If somebody asks me to describe the scheme of civil services, I'll say only 2 words. This examination requires candidates to be interdisciplinary. It requires candidates to be interdisciplinary. Okay? And 2, you require to be contemporaneous. You require to be current. You require to be update. You require to have an awareness of events as they are slowly unfolding in this country. What is happening around you? You should have a complete awareness of events as they are unfolding today. You have to be current and you have to be contemporary. These are the two inescapable requirements for any candidate preparing for civil services. One, you should have current orientation. You should be very, very strong in current affairs. You should be very strong in that. And two, you should adopt an interdisciplinary approach. It means you should be able to look at an issue from different dimensions, from different perspectives. Okay? How do I prove this to you? Look at the question papers. You realize that there are a lot of questions on current affairs in general studies. I'm not speaking about optional. I'm speaking about general studies. Even in your preliminary as well as in your mains also, there are a lot of questions which are based on current affairs. So current affairs plays a very important role. Okay. Two, how do we prove that the civil service examination requires interdisciplinary approach? Now tell me, what are the segments that you have in paper 3 of general studies? See, each and every segment of this entire paper is interrelated with the other. Economic development requires deployment of technology, isn't it? Technology, unbridled use of technology leads to adverse impact on environment. Adverse impact on environment, or let me say ecosystem breakdown, could lead to disasters, natural disasters. The occurrence of natural disasters in turn may lead to internal security issues, right? Famine somewhere, backwardness somewhere, floods somewhere, land erosion somewhere. All these are collapse of ecosystems, isn't it? That can lead to, security issues because people may rebel. The relative backwardness may make people go against the state. See, each and every segment in this paper is interrelated with each other. The examiner had clearly given all these segments because they have an interconnection with each other. It is this approach that every student should adopt. Interdisciplinary approach. And secondly, candidates will have to be very, very strong in current affairs. Okay? It is this very requirement that is, let me say, at the heart of the preparation for political science and international relations. So political science students require to be interdisciplinary in their approach, one, and secondly, they require to be strong in current affairs as well. Okay? Now please remember that there is no other optional which has such close affinity with current affairs like political science. No other optional. Why? Because each and everything that you study in current affairs adds value to your political science preparation. One secret of getting very, very good score in political science is that you have to include your knowledge of current affairs in your political science answers. That's the best way to get good scores, very high scores. Students who are strong in current affairs and students who are able to have that expertise to integrate their current affairs knowledge with political science get very high scores. So we will do that. So as a part of political science optional, every weekend I'll be giving you updates. I'll be giving you updates on Indian polity, on international issues, which will be very, very helpful for you as important inputs to value add to your answers. So this is also a part of our political science program. Okay, we'll have weekend current affairs classes, which will give you insights on political issues, social issues, international issues, which you'll have to integrate in your notes. Okay, so this is another aspect that I'd like to tell to you about political science when we speak about the nature of the optional. Now, this is the thing first about political science. I hope I've given you a very cursory view about political science. First is, political science contains theories, section A, Indian politics, and paper 2 contains international relations and Indian foreign policy, very broadly. These are the segments in political science. 2, The subject is very non-technical. It's very general. The concepts are very easy to understand. And there is nothing that you cannot understand in political science. 3. The content in political science is very rich and very varied. It's very rich and it's very varied, which will help you sustain your interest in the optional. 4. Political science has got a very close affinity with current affairs. And everything that you study in current affairs is going to value add to your political science answers. Whatever you study in international relations, whatever you study in social issues, whatever you study in Indian polity, whatever you study on recent developments in Indian foreign policy, all of them, each and every one of them will help you in your political science. Even the updates that you study in environment and ecosystem also will help you in political science. You know that? You have environmental issues in political science. You have environmental issues in international relations. So everything that you study in your current affairs, sometimes even the current affairs that you study in science and technology also can be used in your political science answers as value additions. Okay, for example, the latest missile technology that's developed somewhere will help you value add to your answers in international relations. Okay, or some recent breakthroughs in the form of trade deals will also help you enrich your answers in international relations. Therefore, whatever you study in current affairs, that goes a very long way in strengthening your answers in political science. We will help you here. As faculty, we will help you to integrate your answers with current affairs developments. That's how, as I told you, you can be assured. Please remember that the target that we have before us is to earn 300 plus marks in optional. That's the target. Okay, we'll try to achieve that. Okay, so this is about the nature of the option called political science. Now, second, some of you have taken political science as their optional. You told me, right? Can you tell me why you have chosen political science as your optional? Why?
First and foremost, I like this subject.
You like this?
Because my background is also political science.
Yeah, political science is very likable. I know that. Okay.
And second one is it's very has overlapping syllabus, GS, ethics, essays. And third one, I'm more inclined towards IMS. So it will help me
in foreign services. Okay. Fair enough. Right. Now, what should be one's criteria before selecting an optional? Now, she has covered 3 or 4 reasons as to why she has taken political science. But what should be one's criteria? Before you select an optional, what should be your criteria? First, what is the performance of the optional in the recent civil services examinations? Whether the optional is doing well or not. Have you looked at that, madam? Have you looked at the success rate of political science? So can you tell me, how is it performing in recent times?
I think most of the toppers gain such more marks in GS due to their option.
Very good. We have a very, very high incidence of political science students in the list of toppers. Even top rank, first rank IAR also, in several years, that first rank, all India rank 1 was a person who belonged to, who has taken political science and international relations as an option. 3 or 4 years, Tina Dabi and all these people, right? That's one aspect. So top 10 ranks, we have political science optional students. Top 100 ranks also, we have a lot of students who have taken political science. So there is a reason as to why we see a lot of students with political science figuring in this list. That is because, as she has rightly mentioned, students with political science are also very strong in general studies. They are very, very strong in general studies. That's the reason why a lot of students who have taken political science as optional perform well in GS. They get relatively very high scores in GS, 140, 135, in each paper. That's the level of scores which they get in general studies. And that's the reason why we find a lot of students who are toppers with political science as one of their option, as their optional. Got it? 1. Success rate. Please remember that political science had been experiencing very good success rate in recent times. Starting from 2017 onwards, one, there is an increased number of students who are taking political science, and two, political science has been showing the success rate of anywhere between 8 to 10%, which is supposed to be very high. 8 to 10% success rate is supposed to be very high. This is the kind of success rate which the top 3 optionals have. Okay, political science and sociology and anthropology. Okay, so these are the top 3 optionals, and these top 3 options have a success rate anywhere between 8 to 10%. Koncham every year koncham aటు variation untadi, kani success rate for political science is very high. A lot of students were toppers who have taken political science. Okay, and that's the reason why a lot of students in recent times are preferring political science. 2020, the success rate was 8.3%. See, every year around 1500 to 2000 students take their mains examination with political science as one of their options. Okay, and the number of students who are appearing with political science and who are clearing their preliminary and taking their clearing their mains and going to the interview is continuously rising in recent times. Okay, therefore political science is showing a very high success rate. And another reason, as I told you, is diversity of topics, which helps students in almost every segment of general studies. That makes political science a very, very preferred optional. A success rate of 8 to 10%. A lot of students are appearing in the list of top 10 students or top 100 students. Students with political science scoring very high marks in general studies. These are 3 reasons as to why political science has become a very popular option in recent times. Okay, next, let us also try and take a look at the kind of, Madam said that there is a lot of overlap between political science and other segments of general studies. Here are the success rates that I was referring to. How political science overlaps with several segments in general studies. That we have 4 common papers, isn't it? Okay, what is it that we have in paper 1? You tell me. You have Indian history. Okay, you have India after independence. You have world history. Indian history in the mains, does it cover ancient and medieval also, or is it only modern Indian history? In the mains, madam. In the mains part, you have only modern Indian history, you have India after independence, and you have world history. Isn't it? Please remember, in political science, you cover modern Indian history. The strategies of Indian freedom struggle, you have this. The civil disobedience movement, that's a strategy. Non-cooperation movement, that's another strategy. And you have Quit India movement, that's another strategy. Revolutionary terrorism, that's another strategy. The moderates and extremist phase of Indian national movement, that's another strategy, isn't it? This is what's called as constitutional means of resistance. Satyagraha, proposed by Mahatma Gandhi. Can somebody tell me what do you mean by Satyagraha? Satyagraha. Any idea? It is a technique or a strategy of political resistance. That's Satyagraha, All these are strategies of Indian freedom struggle. So as a student of political science, you'll be studying about entire modern Indian history as a part of your optional in political science. As a part of your optional in political science, you'll study the entire modern Indian history. You will study India after independence. You will study a lot of segments that are covered in the world history as a part of your political science syllabus. You study about Renaissance, you study about Industrial Revolution, you study about the First and the Second World Wars, you study about the post-war era and neo-colonialism. Have you heard about that? You study the process of globalization as a part of political science syllabus. So, the modern world history is covered to a very great extent in the syllabus of political science. Okay. Apart from this, you also study in political science several social issues like communalism, regionalism, caste as a factor in Indian politics and society. All these social issues which are a part of paper 1, general studies, are also covered as a part of your political science syllabus. Have you studied about social movements in India as a part of your political science syllabus? Social movements, new social movements? No, might not have done that as a part of your graduation, but here in civil services, you have new social movements in India as a part of syllabus in political science. Okay, so a lot of segments in paper 1 are covered in the syllabus of political science, including your modern Indian history, modern world history, India after independence, a series of social issues. Apart from this, you'll also study in political science about modern Indian political thinkers like Ambedkar, Gandhi, M.N. Roy, Aurobindo. All these will help value add to your answers in general studies paper 1. That's why a lot of students of political science score very high marks in GS, in general studies. Second, paper 2. What is it that paper 2 of general studies consists of? Indian polity, governance, issues related to social justice, and international relations. The entire 250 marks in paper 2 are covered within the syllabus of political science. The entire paper 2 in general studies is covered in the syllabus of political science. No separate readings. Whatever you study for political science is going to be useful for writing any form of answers in general studies. And moreover, you will be studying this as a part of political science, isn't it? As a part of your optionals, isn't it? Therefore, you will study this with a little more depth than what is required for general studies students. But normally, GS ki oka level lo chadutarandi. Ade level political science kuda chalu. But because it's an optional, students tend to look a little more into this. That's the reason why students of political science are very, very strong in paper 2. Wherever you go, students of political science are very strong in paper 2. They are very strong in Indian polity. Okay, separate ga GS paper 2 చదవాల్సిన అవసరం కూడా లేదండి. You should study the syllabus in political science. Okay, next, paper 3 of general studies. What is it that you have in paper 3? You have economy, science and technology, all these things, isn't it? Now, a lot of topics in Indian economy are covered as a part of the syllabus in political science. Can you give an example? Planning commission, the entire process of planning in India, economic reforms, land reforms, green revolution, the process of globalization, India's economic development strategies, India's interaction with global economic organizations like WTO, IMF, World Bank. They're all covered as a part of the syllabus in political science. At least 1/3 of the syllabus in Indian economy is covered as a part of political science syllabus. Your economic reforms, planning in India, developmental strategies, then post-reform economic developmental strategies, then India's global economic interaction, particularly the Indian interaction with bodies like WTO, IMF, World Bank. All of them are covered as a part of your syllabus in political science. Okay, all these are covered in political science itself. Next, ethics. Can you tell me how is political science related to ethics?
Some theories of thinkers may help you.
Theories of thinkers. There are a lot of concepts in ethics paper which are covered as a part of political science. For example, you have the Nicomachean ethics proposed by Aristotle. You have utilitarianism proposed by Bentham, Jeremy Bentham. Have you heard his name? Yeah, right. Idealism proposed by Mahatma Gandhi, who says that politics should be governed by religion. It's called as idealism, right? All these are several theories in ethics which are covered within the syllabus of political science. Okay, and in ethics paper, you also have a series of concepts and thinkers which and whose understanding gets enriched by studying political science. Now, this is how political science helps students in their preparation in ethics. Are you all with me? So even in ethics paper also, political science helps. Okay, it will help you understand the concepts. For example, on the civil sciences preliminary paper, there were a good number of questions, isn't it? There was a good number of questions were related to what are called as situation response tests. There is an officer who is a mid-level officer in an administrative unit. She receives a confidential report about some contractor who was alleged to have had a bad history of workmanship. Okay, what should she do? She's a mid-level bureaucrat officer who received that a particular contractor who is going to be given a contract is having a bad history, and that information she got through a confidential report. Her superior advises her to ignore the report. Okay, what should she do? And he has given you 4 alternatives in the preliminary paper. As an ethical person, what should be your approach to the given scenario? What should be your approach? ఇట్లాంటి క్వశ్చన్స్ ఇచ్చారనుకోండి, it is your understanding of ethical thinkers which will help you realize good answers. Okay, in mains also, in ethics paper, there are a lot of what are called as situation response tests which are given to the students, and political science helps you better answer such questions. It is here that political science syllabus helps candidates in a very big way. Okay, now 4 general studies papers have their value addition from political science. Okay, apart from this, you know that we have a general essay paper, and please remember from that starting from 2017 onwards, every year there is a question which is directly given from the syllabus of political science. Questions like cooperative federation, relevance of non-alignment movement, the need for reforms of United Nations organization, India's water wars in South Asia, capitalism and development. All these are topics which we study directly in political science as a part of political science syllabus. Every year there is one general essay which can be directly correlated to the syllabus in political science. That is how political science is enriching candidates' maturity in writing good general essays as well. So please remember, not only in general studies, not only in ethics paper, even in general essay paper also, there is a lot of coincidence. Okay, reform of UN, India's neighborhood relations, and particularly India's water wars, cooperative federation, all these were given as in general essay paper. Okay, and these topics are directly present, explicitly present in political science. This is where political science becomes very relevant. So as I told you, in each and every GS paper, even in general essay, also there is what's called as coincidence with political science syllabus. There is an overlap, Madam Chepnati, between political science and other segments of general syllabus. Let me tell you how many marks you'll have to write in your mains. For how many marks? You have 4. You have 4 common papers, 4 common general studies papers, isn't it? 4 common general studies papers account for how many marks? 250 marks each. Total of 1000 marks. Okay? Political science, of course, optional, accounts for 500 marks. Okay? General essay accounts for 250 marks. Right? Total of 1750 marks. It is said that just by reading political science syllabus pin to pin, if you're able to complete the entire political science syllabus, each and every word of the political science syllabus, you will be covering approximately 1100 to 1200 marks in your mains. 1100 to 1200 marks in your mains is covered by reading the syllabus of political science. That is what is making political science so relevant in the preparation for civil services. Why is it that a lot of students are picking up political science? Because of this. In around 1200 marks out of 1750, you are going to be strong. Correct. That's the best advantage of political science. Okay. Now please remember that one small here, I like to bring a small comparison between the kind of the examination pattern that we had when we took the examination and the examination pattern we have now. Okay. When we had taken the examination, when I had taken the examination, there used to be two optionals, not a single optional. Each optional used to account for 1200 marks, 600 marks. Each optional, 600 marks. So two optionals, 1200 marks. There used to be one GS, and that GS accounted for 600 marks. So two GS papers, 300, 300, 600 marks. So two optionals, 1200, GS 600. It means the weightage for the optionals was double compared to GS. Ante kada? Optionals ki 1200, GS ki 600. The weightage for the optionals was double. Therefore, candidates were completely focused on the optional. If you are strong in optional, you get the interview and you get a service. You are required to be strong in the optional. Previously, earlier. Now, you have general studies 1000 marks and you have optional only for 500 marks. It means the weightage for GS is double compared to optional. What does it mean? It means you have to be strong in general studies and journalism. You have to be strong in general studies and journalism. And as I told you, political science has so much of overlap with general studies and general essay that ultimately, after you finish off your preparation for your optional, you are strong invariably in GS. Okay. Moreover, చదువుకోవాల్సిన segments తగ్గిపోట్లా. You study political science, you are through with the entire paper 2. You are through with nearly 1/3 of paper 1 GS. You don't have to read them separately, isn't it? That's the best advantage of taking political science. Okay. So here, this is where the students are attracted towards political science. There is nothing that you cannot understand. The syllabus is manageable, doable. There are ways and means of getting good scores in political science, and political science has been showing a very, very high success rate in recent times. And political science has got a very, very strong overlap with other segments in GS. These are the advantages that you have in political science, in taking political science. You know, have I given you some basic idea about political science? Right? What is it that the syllabus contains? How you should approach the syllabus? We'll look at that very soon. Okay. So this is how political science can contribute very, very strongly to your general studies. Okay. Remember, students, don't go by this optional is easy, that optional is difficult. You know, remember, civil services is a leveler. It doesn't make one option easy and one option difficult. There are different things that candidates require for different optionals. For example, if you take a literature optional, literature, English literature, you should be good in language. You should be good in usages. You should have a grammatically correct presentation because it's a literature paper. There's a requirement there. There are some students who are probably very good in sketches and diagrams. They might take an optional which suits their aptitude. There might be some students who are very good at cartography, at maps, at drawing maps, identifying places. They might be comfortable with geography. You know, so each optional has its own requirements. There is nothing like political science is difficult, other options are easy. That's not correct. Okay, civil services doesn't give undue advantage to any optional, but here the one advantage that political science has secured is this: 1200 marks out of 1750 covered in the syllabus of political science. No separate work you require to do. Okay, as I told you, in the present scheme of examination, unless you are strong with general studies and general essay, just by becoming strong in optional, you can't go to the interview. You have to be strong in other segments also, because other segments account for 1200 marks, kada? And optional accounts only for 500 marks. You have to be strong in this segment also. Intaku mundu, options accounted for 1200 marks, GS 600. So if candidate was weak in GS also, if he was very strong in the optional, he used to go to the interview. But now, it's the other way around. You have to be strong in the common papers. Only then you can go to the interview. And which subject contributes the most to common papers? It's political science. That's the advantage of political science. And that's the reason why Madam Chepnatiga, students who have taken political science do very well in GS. Why? Because of this overlap. It's precisely because of this overlap that political science students do very well in general studies. Okay, so this is about the overlap, right, in political science and with GS and other segments. Okay, now after having looked at political science as an optional, now what do you feel about political science? Do you think political science deserves a thought of whether it can be a good optional or not? Or are you scared about political science? Because in political science you have thinkers like Plato, Aristotle, Karl Marx, Machiavelli. Actually, that is the most interesting part of political science. I'm sure you must have been attracted to political science probably for one of the reasons of political thought, isn't it? Political science law, the most interesting aspect, one of the most interesting aspects is political thought. It really gives us new insights into the way we understand the world, we understand the reality. Okay? చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి మంచి చదువుతున్నారు కదా మీరందరూ. Tell me, what was the purpose of your education? What was the purpose of your education? To gain knowledge. To settle in life, isn't it? చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి మనం చెప్పేది అదే కదా, బాగా చదువుకోవాలి, మంచిగా సెటిల్ అవ్వాలి లైఫ్ లో. అదే కదా మనకి చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి చెప్పింది. వాట్ ఈస్ ద పర్పస్ ఆఫ్ డూయింగ్ ఎ జాబ్? వాట్ ఈస్ ద పర్పస్ ఆఫ్ డూయింగ్ ఎ జాబ్? దేనికోసం పనిచేస్తున్నారు? ఆ జీతం కోసం. ఆ జీతంతో బతకాలి కాబట్టి పనిచేస్తున్నారు. అంతేగాని నాట్ బికాస్ యువర్ వర్క్ ఈస్ గివింగ్ యూ ప్లెజర్, not because your work is giving you a feeling of fulfillment, not because your work is giving you satisfaction. This is what Karl Marx is saying. Under conditions of capitalism, the entire purpose of education is for securing a job, and the entire purpose of work is to eke a livelihood. Ante. This is killing the humanity. This is dehumanizing conditions of capitalism. మనిషి ఎందుకోసం చదువుకుంటున్నాడు, ఎందుకోసం నాలెడ్జ్ ని ఎక్వైర్ చేసుకుంటాడో మర్చిపోతున్నాం మనం. వీఆర్ ఫర్గెటింగ్ ద పర్పస్ ఆఫ్ గెటింగ్ అవర్ సెల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేటెడ్. వీఆర్ ఫర్గెటింగ్ ద పర్పస్ ఫర్ విచ్ వీఆర్ సపోజ్ టు వర్క్. శ్రమైక జీవన సౌందర్యానికి సమానమైనది లేనే లేదు అంటారు. యునో, వర్క్ ఈజ్ ఎ పర్సన్స్ ఐడెంటిటీ. వర్క్ is a person's path towards fulfillment. Work is to realize a better version of yourself. You know, our bodies are made to work. You know that, isn't it? You stop working, sit at home and start eating every day. Within 1 month, you lose your capabilities. Body shape out అయిపోతుంది. Mind సరిగ్గా పనిచేయదు. You even are prone to diseases. You work every day. You go out to work. You become a better version of yourself, isn't it? You work doing physical labor, you become strong. You work using your mental caliber, you become mentally strong. You refine, you develop, you enrich yourself through your work. So work is a path towards individuals' realization of their better selves. That is the purpose of work. Karl Marx is trying to tell us this is how capitalism is making us. So we try to understand the world in a completely different way when you read the thinkers. This is how political science helps us understand the world better. This is the best part of political science, actually. Political thought, political theory. Okay? So don't be worried. Don't be worried about political science. Don't think that political science has something which is out of the world, which cannot. It's not going like that. It's very easy. It's very straight. It's very logical. It's very understandable also. Nothing to mug up. If I ask her about any thinker, she will tell me very clearly because she has understood the thinkers. I get that, right? Tell me, what is the best state for Aristotle? One sentence. What is the best state for Plato? Have you heard about communism of wives? Tell me, what is the purpose of communism of wives? You know what is communism of wives? People who want to be the rulers should not have their personal families, should not have their children, should not have monogamous sexual relations. They will not have their personal wives, personal families. This is what's called as communism of wives. What's the purpose of this? Yeah, why did he propose communism of wives? ఎందుకు ఈ ఐడియాని ప్రపోజ్ చేశాడు ప్లాటో? Families and the cool. Why Plato was against the rulers having their own private families and their children? Why? It creates emotions, According to Plato, the most potent rival for a person's love towards his state is a love towards his family. The most potent rival for a person's love towards his state is a person's love towards his family. Kabatti, let the rulers not have their families. Let them be completely devoted to their state. Like our Narendra Modi. No family, no children. Okay? Rahul Gandhi. No family, no children. Mamata Banerjee. No family, no children. Devoted to state. Antunar kada vallu. This is what Plato is saying. The concept. So once you understand that, you will never forget it. In political science, the beauty of the subject is this. You understand that, you will never forget it. And moreover, you have the freedom to express yourselves in your answers. You have the freedom to express yourselves in your answers. You can express your ideas in your answers. You can make use of worldly examples to write in your answers. This is what political science gives you, that freedom to express. Okay, provided of course your concepts are correct, your concepts are right. Okay, this is about political science. The option is very adventurous in sense that you travel through various paths. You study thought, you study concepts, you study international relations, you study Indian foreign policy, you study national movement, freedom struggle, you study Indian constitution, Indian law. You travel through various paths, that makes the journey very fascinating and interesting. Okay, that's what is political science all about. Okay, and another aspect that I wanted to discuss with you is a very brief outlook to you about the syllabus. Okay, just to impress upon you that there is nothing that you can't understand in political science. What is it? What is the major themes in syllabus that you have? See, this is the overlap that I was speaking about. In the ethics paper, you have a lot of concepts and thinkers who are covered within the syllabus of political science. That's where the political science has a lot of advantage. In current affairs, of course, as I told you, everything that you study as a part of current affairs is going to help you enrich your answers, value add to your answers. That's where current affairs can very seriously complement your preparation for political science. See, what you study in political science helps you better understand current affairs. And what you study in current affairs adds value to your answers in political science. Both of them complement each other. Okay. So before we look at the syllabus, there are a few things about the syllabus that I'd like to tell you. First is, the syllabus is comprehensive. As I told you, it covers diverse aspects, isn't it? Political thought, political theory, Indian politics and constitution, international relations, Indian foreign policy. So syllabus has got very rich content and it's very comprehensive. Secondly, there are diverse topics in each paper, as we just discussed. In each paper, there are a lot of diverse topics. Okay. 3. The syllabus is a mix of conventional areas, static areas, and current topics as well. Okay. 4. There is not much of a jargon or technicality. Okay. You don't have economic terms which are very complicated, right? Not only in Indian polity, even political science also, the terms are very simple, very easy. You just require to understand those terms once, aren't they? It's very easy. For example, general will, the concept of general will, the concept of communism proposed by Karl Marx. They're all very easy, which can be very easily understood. Okay. Next, as I told you, the need of this for the students of political science is to understand the subject in a flow. We start with one, we go in a flow, exploring various areas in the topic. For example, can you tell me what was the topic that you have started with in your journey of political science in your graduation?
It's obviously Plato.
Plato, isn't it? You started with political thought. First, you understand the thinkers, political thought. Then, from thinkers, you understand the concepts in political science, like the concept of justice, state, rights. Okay. After that, you look at institutions like democracy, how they have worked, what are the principles based on which democracy works. And after finishing off with that segment, you come down to section B. In section B, you study Indian national movement, Indian freedom struggle, and then the making of Indian constitution. And then you understand the Indian constitution, Indian polity, the working of Indian constitution. Okay. Then you go into section paper 2. In paper 2, you study international relations. You start with theories of international relations. You study about organizations like UN, WTO. You study about regional organizations like SAARC, ASEAN. All these things you study. Then finally you come down to Indian foreign policy. How India had interacted with the rest of the world. So each and every segment, when you start off in the syllabus, it's got some connection. The subject goes in a flow. Okay. So once you get accustomed to the drift of the subject, you'll start feeling very comfortable with political science. Okay. But before this, before speaking about the syllabus, let me caution you a few things about the caution. Because when you have decided to take an optional, before you decide to take an optional, you should also know the other side of that story, isn't it? Not everything about political science is very rosy. There are a few demands that students require to fulfill for taking political science as an optional. I should also speak about those, isn't it? First, political science students should concentrate on attaining conceptual clarity. That's the first requirement of students of political science. First requirement, conceptual clarity. You should understand concepts very clearly. For example, the concept called democracy. What do you mean by democracy? Can you tell me, madam? What do you mean by democracy? How can you say that in India we have democracy? Demos ante people, cratio ante power. People exercising power is democracy. Etymologically, words. But what is the essence of democracy? How do you understand democracy? No, it's a concept. Why do you need a constitution? What is the purpose for having a constitution? ఒక దేశానికి రాజ్యాంగం ఎందుకు కావాలి అసలు? టు స్టార్ట్ విత్, why do you need a constitution? What is the purpose of having a constitution? So ultimately, the essence of what madam is saying is constitution establishes certain rules, ante kada, so that people can be safe and secure. That's the essence of what she is saying. The purpose of having a constitution is to establish certain rules to ensure safety and security. Is this the purpose of having a constitution? What is the purpose of having a constitution? Is it just a rule book? Or is it something more than that? A constitutional government is also described as limited government. A constitutional government is also described as a limited government because the purpose of constitution is to impose a limit on the exercise of power. The purpose of constitution is to impose a limit on the exercise of power because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Whose statement, madam, this is? Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Lord Acton. Have you heard his name? It was Lord Acton's statement. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Therefore, there should be some restraint on those who exercise power. There should be some limit on those who exercise power. The purpose of the constitution is to impose a limit on the exercise of power. Therefore, a constitutional form of government is also described as a limited government. You know, this is a concept, right? If Plato had given unlimited power to the philosopher kings, Aristotle said, no, there should be a constitution which limits exercise of power. లేకపోతే ఏమవుతుంది? అధికారం పిచ్చివాడి చేతిలో రాయిపోతుంది కదా. కొంతమందికి ఇక్కడ నెత్తికి ఎక్కుతాయి అంట, లేకపోతే కొంతమందికి నెత్తి మీద కొమ్ములు వస్తాయంట. కాబట్టి there should be some limit on those who exercise power, and that limit is imposed by constitution. This is the purpose. Therefore, please remember, constitution is a document which protects our liberty against arbitrary exercise of power by the government. ప్రభుత్వ అధికార దుర్వినియోగం నుంచి మన హక్కులని స్వేచ్ఛని కాపాడే డాక్యుమెంట్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్. That's the purpose for which we establish a constitution. A constitutional form of government is it's a concept. Once you understand this concept, there is nothing that you will forget. You'll remember it once you understand this concept. You know, the entire syllabus of political science is based on this understanding only. The entire syllabus. Have you heard something called World Trade Organization, WTO? What is the purpose of the World Trade Organization? The purpose of World Trade Organization is to ensure that the trade between the world is seamless without any obstacles, like tariffs. For example, Donald Trump is imposing tariffs on various countries, isn't it? What do these tariffs do? These tariffs impose restrictions on trade. The work of World Trade Organization is to remove or to smoothen out those restrictions or obstacles of the conduct of global trade. You know, this is the work of the World Trade Organization. So all these are concepts. We are only trying to understand these concepts in political science. Study, therefore, in political science is based more on understanding and not based on memory. Okay? Please remember this very carefully. So if you have decided to take political science first, understand that you are required to have a proper conceptual clarity. You are required to have clarity about concepts. 1. 2. In political science, you will have to have your own notes. You will have to have your own notes. Whatever the concept that I explained to you in the class, I'll be giving it to you in the form of dictated notes. You will have your notes with you. Do you have your notes, madam? Your graduation notes. Have you prepared your own notes? This is what I actually mean to say, that you should have your own notes for political science. You will require that notes. Okay. So whatever that I explained in the class, I'll be giving it to you in the form of notes. That notes will be the foundation for your preparation. Okay. Foundation for your preparation. It is this notes which you are going to carry till you write your mains. Whatever the concepts that you come across, whatever the additional readings that you do, you make additions to these notes only. Don't go beyond this. Because what Plato had said, he had said, and how we understand it, we understand it. And we reproduce it. We only can give one or two examples more ante. Followed me, right? Whatever Plato had said as a part of his philosophy, he had already said. And we understand it the way it should be understood. That's it. We need not go beyond that. Okay? Whatever you can do as a part of your additions, you can do in the notes itself. That notes will be your foundation for the preparation. Okay? So, have your own notes. Right? Keep the notes simple. The point is understanding rather than having bulky notes. Understanding is very important. Okay? Whatever are the small additions that you do, you keep making your notes. Okay? And keep your preparation simple. Keep your preparation simple. Don't extend your preparation beyond the notes given to you in the class. కొన్ని బేసిక్ టెక్స్ట్ బుక్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఆ టెక్స్ట్ బుక్స్ చదవండి. చదివిన తర్వాత కూడా ఏమైతే చిన్న చిన్న ఎడిషన్స్ ఉంటాయో మేక్ దెమ్ టు యువర్ నోట్స్ అండ్ కీప్ ఇట్ అట్ దాట్. లీవ్ ఇట్ అట్ దాట్. దట్ వుడ్ బి ఇనఫ్. Except for section B paper 1 and section B paper 2. You can keep adding to your notes. ఇప్పుడు ఏదైనా కరెంట్ డెవలప్మెంట్స్ అవుతున్నాయి. GS లో you will study them as a part of current affairs, isn't it? Whatever you come across, you keep adding to your notes. But other segments, stick to your notes. Keep it simple as possible. Some basic books ఉంటాయి. ఆ books list ఇస్తాను. You have to refer to those books now and then. Okay? But as far as possible, keep your preparation simple. Keep it simple. Okay? And third, for political science students, it is very, very essential that you practice writing answers. Political science students should concentrate on practicing writing answers. Okay? Because acquiring knowledge is one aspect of it. Writing answers to address the questions is another aspect of it. And that's the reason why in the entire political science syllabus, before we complete the syllabus, I have incorporated a series of tests which will help you enrich your knowledge, which will help you put your knowledge to test. Okay? So keep attending those tests and write those answers. Okay? So if you can do this, carefully hear the classes, concentrate on getting conceptual clarity and understanding. 2, compile your notes carefully. I will be dictating the notes to you. Majority of the topics I will dictate notes to you in the class. And 4, practice writing answers. If you can do this consistently, by the time we cover the syllabus, you'll be strong in political science. No doubt about that. Okay? By the time we complete this, you'll be strong in political science. Okay? So these are the 4 requirements. 4 requirements of every student preparing for political science as an optional. In fact, they are also important for every other optional, and not only for political science, for every other optional also they are important. More so for political science, because political science, as I told you, is very, very diverse in terms of the topics it covers. Okay? Right? And one more thing. Because of the diversity of the syllabus, remember that your fundamentals are the key to get very, very high scores. You don't have to be like a scholar going deep and writing very deep answers. Your fundamentals should be strong. For example, if you're writing an answer on parliamentary system, you have to mention Article 75, Clause 3. This is the fundamental. Okay? They will be there in your notes, don't worry. Okay? All the things which you require to reproduce in your answer will be there in your notes. Don't worry about that. Okay. So this is what you concentrate on as student of political science. You ensure that you keep these things straight. Okay. Concentrate on conceptual clarity. Ensure that you have fundamentals proper. And also ensure that you prepare your own notes and you learn how to integrate your notes with current affairs. As I told you, every weekend we'll be having a session on current affairs. Whatever are the current affairs which are relevant to the optional, I'll be giving it to you. I'll be explaining them to you. I'll also teach you how to integrate your current affairs into your general notes of political science. Okay. So notes is the key. Notes is the key. Okay. So these are the 4 things that you should keep in mind when you plan to take political science. Conceptual clarity, having your own notes, keeping the preparation simple as possible. Okay. By looking at material, textbooks, wherever they are required only. Apart from that, you don't have to go very deep into it. Your fundamentals, your insistence should be on fundamentals. Okay. Can you tell me what do you mean by general will of Rousseau? It's a slightly confusing concept till you understand it. Okay. I'll tell you how you should understand it in a very simple manner. We're all individuals, isn't it? We all have some personal interests, isn't it? Do you all have your own personal interests? Those aspirations which you all feel will satisfy your needs. Don't you have all those aspirations? They are all called as real wills. They are called as real wills. Okay. Real wills are aspirations that we have, which we feel will satisfy our personal needs. Okay. But we all also, they are called as actual wills. They are called as actual wills. You are right. Actual wills. Okay. But we also have certain aspirations which we think will serve everybody's purpose, common purpose. Do you all think that in this country democracy is good for us? Do you all think that democracy is good for us or not? We all think, isn't it? We all feel that democracy is good for this country. So having an aspiration to establish a democracy in India is a real will. So the aspirations that we all have, which we think will fulfill everybody's needs, which are for common good, they are called as real good. Personal good, they are called as actual wills. If you cancel out all actual wills and if you synthesize all the real wills, we arrive at general will. Okay, this is a concept, one simple concept. If you understand these concepts in the way it should be understood, then you will never forget it. Okay, what is it that Karl Marx wants to realize? What is it? What is the aspiration of Karl Marx?
The world is divided into 2 classes, that is working class.
Capitalists.
And it says religion is like your opium. It does not make sense.
Okay. So, what is it that Karl Marx is trying to tell us? To understand this very simply, men should live. To live, we have to eat. To eat, we have to work. To work, we need some means. Means of production. We require tools, we require land. Land is work chesadi. But land is controlled by somebody. Means are controlled by somebody. Somebody is owning the land. So what do? I go to him and I'll tell him, I'll work on your land. You take half, I'll take half. Right? And this ownership of the means is leading to exploitation. And this exploitation should end. How will it end? It will end through advent of communism. ఇదే కాల్ మార్క్స్ చెప్తున్నాను. Everything else that Karl Marx says, you told me, isn't it? Religion is the opium of people. Why is religion called opium of people? మతం మత్తు మందు వంటిది అంటాడు కదా కాల్ మార్క్స్. ఎందుకంటాడు తెలుసా? You know why? Because religion hides exploitation. Religion acts as an opium and hides exploitation. They're giving us a false promise of a beautiful afterlife. చచ్చిపోయిన తర్వాత మన ఆఫ్టర్ లైఫ్ స్వర్గంలో ఉంటాం మనం అని చెప్తుంది మతం మనకి. అలా చెప్పి మన మీద విధించిన దోపిడీని మనమే నెగ్లెక్ట్ చేసేలాగా చేస్తున్నాం. యూనో, వీఆర్ నాట్ క్వశ్చనింగ్ అవర్ ఎక్స్‌ప్లాయిటేషన్, వీఆర్ నాట్ స్టాండింగ్ అప్ ఫర్ అవర్ రైట్స్, and we are allowing somebody else to exploit us with a hope of a beautiful afterlife. That's why religion is the opium of the masses. You know, it's a concept. Everything that Karl Marx says revolves around this idea that man should live. Live. We should live. How we should live? We should live through proper education. We should live with sense of fulfillment and satisfaction of work. That's how we should live. We should not survive like animals, isn't it? So Karl Marx is making a distinction between living and surviving. You know, the same thing is said by Supreme Court in a very famous case called the Menaka Gandhi case. To live is to lead a life of dignity and self-respect. To live is not mere animal existence. Animal existence కాదు living అంటే. Living అంటే to lead a life full of dignity and self-respect. This was what was said by Supreme Court also. You know, these are all concepts. It is these concepts that we'll be studying as a part of political science. Okay, so please remember that political science is an optional which is not only very interesting, it's very manageable also. It's very rewarding also as far as civil service examination is concerned. I told you that nearly 1200 marks out of 1750 are covered by political science. And political science also is an option which is showing a very high level of success rate. Okay? And in political science, there is nothing that you cannot understand. Political science is very general and non-technical. Okay? Now going ahead, we'll just try to take a look very briefly at the syllabus of political science, very broadly. Because that's what you have come here for, isn't it? You come here for getting to know about political science, isn't it? So we'll know what political science is all about. The syllabus of political science. First is the first part, section A, paper 1. The first topic is political theory. As a part of this, we only study about the approaches to political science. Approaches. How do you understand, for example, today we have this country, India. How do you understand Indian politics? Tell me. How do you understand Indian politics? How can you understand Indian politics? The nature of the Indian political system. You can understand Indian politics by looking at constitution. Isn't it? You can understand Indian political system by looking at constitution. Isn't it? Indian polity. That's what we study. Isn't it? Or you can understand Indian political system by looking at past. Britishers had come to this country. We gained our independence. After independence, we established our constitution. After that, we had the first general election. The Indian National Congress came to power. And then we had emergency. Then we had the formation of an alternative front called the United Front. And now, of course, we have a coalition era in Indian politics. We're looking at the history. Isn't it? You can also understand the nature of Indian politics by looking at history. You can also understand the nature of Indian politics by looking at the behavior of our political institutions like Parliament, or our Supreme Court, or our cabinet, or our political parties, isn't it? Behavior of political parties. You know what political parties are doing, isn't it? Political parties are ready to polarize people. Political parties are ready to use caste, religion, region, language, whatever for their political purposes. You know, behavior. Right? This is one approach which is called as legal approach, looking at the constitution and law. This is what's called as the historical approach, and this is called as the behavioral approach. Ante approaches. How do you approach the subject to understand the subject? There were thinkers like Plato who said, you know, the best way to overcome corruption is through communism of lives and property. And the people who rule should not have their families. If we can establish a political system in which the rulers are prohibited from having their families and children, then we can eradicate corruption. What is he doing? He is philosophizing, isn't it? He is philosophizing. This is called the philosophical approach. It's called as the philosophical approach to political science. So people were philosophizing. Okay, we'll have a system where the rulers will not have wives. The rulers will not have private property. The rulers will live like sages. The rulers will pursue knowledge. The rulers will not be greedy. He's philosophizing, isn't it? That's called as the philosophical approach. Hypernymy approaches. The major approaches to political science: philosophical approach, historical approach, legal approach, behavioral approach. Right. So it's very simple. The point that I'm trying to drive here is that it's very, very simple. Okay. Next, after that, there is the next topic which is called as the theories of state. You know, please remember that state is the most important institution that we'll be studying about in political science. Okay, state. Okay, can you tell me what do you mean by state? When state as understood in political science is this: a political entity which has four elements of population, territory, very good, government, and sovereignty. Any political entity that has these four basic elements of population, territory, government, and sovereignty is called a state. Okay, so this is a state. India is a state. India has its own population. India has its own territory. India has its own government. And India also has the power to take its own decisions without being controlled by any other country. This is the meaning of sovereignty, supreme power to take our decisions. So any political entity which has these four elements is called as a state. Okay. So in political science, we study how the state has come into existence. There are various theories for that. Liberals, neoliberals, Marxists, pluralists, postcolonial, and feminists. Okay. These are various theories which try to help us understand how this entity called state came into existence. The origin, the purposes of state. Okay. It's all very simple. Right. Once you understand the state, liberals, for example, they believe that the state has come into existence to ensure individual liberty. For example, I'm just giving an example. Okay. Can you give an example of liberal thinkers? Liberals. Thomas Hobbes. Tell me, why did the state come into existence according to Thomas Hobbes? Why did the state come into existence according to Thomas Hobbes? There was a pre-state society which Thomas Hobbes had imagined. What was that called? It was called the state of nature, in which there was no state, there was no government, there was no authority, there was no police, there were no laws. Just imagine a scenario where today outside there is no government, there is no police, there are no laws, there is no authority to control you. బయటికి వెళ్తే సమాజం ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది? పోలీసులు లేరు, గవర్నమెంట్ లేదు, రూల్స్ రెగ్యులేషన్స్ లేవు, చట్టాలు లేవు, కోర్టులు లేవు, ఏం లేవు. అలాంటి సమాజం ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది ఒకసారి ఊహించుకోండి. బతకగలవా? కెన్ వి లివ్ ఇన్ దట్ స్టేట్? వి కెనాట్ లివ్. That's the reason why Thomas Hobbes declares the life of man in the state of nature is nasty, poor, brutish, and short. Okay? That's the kind of life that we lead. మనకంటే బలవంతులు వచ్చి మనల్ని కొడతాడు, ఏమైనా చేస్తాడు, చట్టాలు లేవు కదా, గవర్నమెంట్ లేదు కదా. There will be nothing to control the strong. Therefore, the life of man in the state of nature is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. To overcome that, we created a state. That was how a state came into existence. State came into existence to preserve individual's life. Okay? State came into existence to preserve individual's life. To establish that, Thomas Hobbes gives his own idea. Okay? The same way, there was another thinker called John Locke. Remember John Locke? So you tell me, why did the state come into existence according to John Locke? Not able to remember, yeah. John Locke says that nature, which has given us life, also has given us some rights to lead a good life. Right to life, right to liberty, and right to property. To protect these natural rights, state came into existence, according to John Locke. You know, all these are liberal thinkers who try to explain the reason as to why state had come into existence. We'll study about these thinkers earlier. We'll study about Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, we'll study about Mill. They have given their own theories of state. We'll study Karl Marx, we'll study Gramsci. All these have given their own theories of state. We study them as a part of liberal theories, Marxist theories, pluralist theories. Very simple, okay? ఇవన్నీ కూడా చాలా సింపుల్ కాన్సెప్ట్స్ అండి. ఒకసారి అర్థమైంది అనుకోండి, ఇప్పుడు మీరు మర్చిపోరు. Will you forget now? Thomas Hobbes, preservation of life was the purpose for which state had come into existence. I understand that. You know, normally in our graduation we only study for the exams, you know, not for remembering. But now you have to, you know, as a part of your civil service preparation, you'll have to remember it. Okay? Anyway, all these are concepts. They are very easy. They are all a part of section A, paper 1. Okay? Section B, paper 1 is all about Indian polity. Okay? Some students ask me, what we study for GS and what we study for political science, are they different? No, they are just the same. They are just the same. But in political science, you make it a point to understand them properly and to present your ideas in a proper manner in political science. Ante, that's also required for general studies. Can general studies అంటే పై పైన చదువుతాం. పొలిటికల్ సైన్స్ ఏంటంటే ఆ టాపిక్స్ మీద ఎక్స్పర్టైజ్ సంపాదించడానికి చదువుతాం. We study them more detailedly. Can you tell me which is the segment in entire general studies which has the maximum weightage? GS లో మనకి హిస్టరీ, ఎకానమీ, పాలిటీ, జనరల్ సైన్స్, సైన్స్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ, జియోగ్రఫీ అన్ని ఉన్నాయి కదా. ఏ సెగ్మెంట్ కి మాక్సిమం వెయిటేజ్ ఇచ్చారు? ఏ సెగ్మెంట్ కి మేడం? పాలిటీ, ఇండియన్ పాలిటీ. 125 marks in the mains. ఎకానమీకి అంతా 50 to 60, హిస్టరీకి అంతా అరౌండ్ 80 to 90 అంతే. జియోగ్రఫీకి 40, సోషల్ ఇష్యూస్ కి 20, ఇంటర్నేషనల్ రిలేషన్స్ కి 50 to 60. Okay, the highest weightage in your general studies is given to Indian polity, 125 marks. There will be nobody stronger than you in Indian polity because you are students of political science and international relations. You will be the strongest in Indian polity and in international relations. Okay, in all these segments you will be very, very strong. Okay, right. So entire section D, paper 1 is all about Indian polity, Indian constitution, political process. Okay, you will be strong in these segments also. Okay, next paper 2, section A. As I told you, ఇంకా చాలా కాన్సెప్ట్స్ ఇవన్నీ ఉన్నాయి. We won't have time to discuss all these things. So you have concepts like, can you tell me what do you mean by justice? The idea of justice. Justice as very commonly understood. Justice means న్యాయం అంటే ఏంటి? దేన్ని న్యాయం, దేన్ని అన్యాయం అనగలం? What do you call something as just and something else as unjust? How do you differentiate? Justice, simply described as John Rawls, being fair to others is a sense of justice. Somebody does good to you, you do good. Somebody is not equal to you, give him some special facility. Somebody who is handicapped, lend him a helping hand. You know, being fair is justice, according to John Rawls. It is this series of justice that we study in this topic. A very simple concept, easy concept. Okay, now the problem with justice is what seems just to me might not be just to you. Ante kada? Are we all accepted on single notion of justice? If I ask you about reservations, okay, some of you will support reservations and some of you will oppose reservations. Why? Because you are seeing the issue of reservations from your own angle, from your own context. Therefore, some people might believe that reservations are unjust, and some people might believe that there is justice in reservations. You know, it is in this context that we should understand the idea of justice. If you forget your context, and if you are fair towards your fellow human being, if you look at his condition, if you look at the historical exploitation and deprivation he suffered, maybe you will feel that there is fairness in reservations. Maybe. But if there is somebody who is not deprived, not exploited, but enjoying it as an entitlement, then you will oppose it. That also is being fair. It is this idea of fairness is what is implicit in the concept of justice. It's also a very simple idea. Okay, a very easy, simple idea. Got it? Okay, it is this that we'll be learning as a part of justice. Equality also. Okay, what do you mean by right? Any idea? How do you understand this as right? Claim of an individual or a group of individuals. Claim of an individual or a group of individuals. When I say that this is my right, I should claim it. I should claim it. And this becomes a right. A claim becomes a right when it is recognized by society. Recognized by society. And is enforced by law. Enforced by law. Only when these three criteria are met, you call that as a right. Otherwise, it is just an empty claim. A claim which is recognized by society and enforced by law becomes a right. Follow me. See, you have purchased a land. You go to the registration office, pay the stamp duty, and get the land registered on your name. It means that land is legally recognized as yours. అంతే కదా, రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ ఆఫీస్కి వెళ్ళి మనం రిజిస్టర్ చేయించుకోవాలి అనుకునే ల్యాండ్ని అది మంది అని చెప్పి గవర్నమెంట్ రికగ్నైజ్ చేస్తుంది. సంబడి హ్యాడ్ ఎన్క్రోచ్డ్ యువర్ ల్యాండ్. కబ్జా, ఎవరో కబ్జా పెట్టాడు మీ ల్యాండ్ మీద. వాట్ ఆర్ యూ సపోజ్ టు డూ? What should you do? You should file a case. You should go to the court. Okay? But మీరు ఒక ఐడియా వేశారు, కొంచెం అతి తెలివికి వెళ్ళి ల్యాండ్ మందే కదా, వాడు ఇల్లు కట్టుకొని, వాడు ఇల్లు కట్టుకున్నాక మనం ల్యాండ్ తీసుకుందాం. ఇల్లుతో ల్యాండ్ వచ్చేస్తుంది కదా అప్పుడు. యూ గెట్ ద హౌస్ విత్ యువర్ ల్యాండ్ అని ఐడియా వేసి యూ కెప్ట్ క్వైట్. యూ డిడ్ నాట్ గో టు కోర్ట్. You're allowing the person to build something on the land. ఇల్లు కట్టాక తీసుకుందాం అని. ఓకే, 5 years అయిపోయింది, 6 years అయిపోయింది, 7 years అయిపోయింది, 10 years అయిపోయింది, 11 years అయిపోయింది. After 11 years, the person who has illegally occupied your land becomes the legal title holder and you lose your right over the land. నీ కళ్ళ ముందు ఓపెన్ గా, హాస్టైల్ గా, ఇల్లీగల్ గా మీ భూమిని ఆక్రమించుకున్న తర్వాత, ఇఫ్ యూ డోంట్ గో టు కోర్ట్, ఇఫ్ యూ డోంట్ క్లెయిమ్ యువర్ రైట్, యూ లూజ్ యువర్ రైట్. The person who had illegally occupied your land becomes the legal title holder of that land. You know? So what you should do? If your right is violated, you should claim your right. You should not sleep over your rights. If somebody has violated your right, you go to court and you protect your right. Otherwise, eventually, you lose your right. You know, this is the concept of rights. You understand rights. You understand what they mean. Follow me, right? Now, these are the various aspects of the syllabus that you have in political science. Okay? As I told you, they're all very interesting. You know, for example, democracy, right? I'm sure nobody here will be able to give me a proper definition of democracy, proper understanding of democracy. Okay? You can get that after you finish off with Indian polity. Indian polity చదువుకుంటారు కదండి, చదువుకున్న తర్వాత మీకు అర్థమవుతుంది డెమోక్రసీ అంటే ఏంటో, and how we have operationalized democracy in our country. Why? Because democracy also is a concept. All of them are concepts. So in political science, the entire insistence will be on concepts. Okay? Ideologies. For example, you have fascism, communism, socialism, Gandhism. All these are ideologies. It is these ideologies that you study as a part of political science. You know, what do you mean by liberal ideology? Okay, what is Gandhism, and what is it that Gandhi is proposing? The concept of satyagraha. What does he mean by satyagraha? You know, it's also an ism. It's also an ideology, Gandhism. Okay, we study about these as a part of political ideologies, right? Then you have political thinkers, right? Plato, Aristotle, Machiavelli, Hobbes. You have there is one more thinker I've missed mentioning him. You have 10 thinkers totally in Western political thought. Okay, though there are some thinkers are not mentioned, we still have to read about him. For example, Madam had mentioned about a thinker called Rousseau. Okay, Rousseau is not there in your syllabus, but you have to learn him. You have to learn something about Rousseau. Okay, all these are very easy. They're all very easy. They come with concepts. All of them are concepts only. They are very easy for you to follow. So it should not be a problem at all. Okay, and of course the entire section B is, as I told you, Indian national movement. Okay, then you have Indian Constitution. Right here, you study as a part of legacies. You study about the various laws that are made in the British, during the British rule in this country. You know, have you heard something called the Mincho-Morley reforms? The Mincho-Morley reforms of 1909, right? The question here, whatever you study as a part of this segment is all a part of your general studies. Okay? General studies lo ఏమైతే చదువుతామో అవే మనం ఇక్కడ చదువుకుంటాము. Nothing different. Okay? But కొంచెం ఏంటంటే you go a step further అంతే. For example, in general studies you don't study about the various perspectives, but here you study about the perspectives of the making of Indian Constitution. The liberal perspective and the socialist perspective. Okay, that's one step further. I told you that understanding will add value to your answers in general studies. They're only going to enrich your knowledge and your understanding of GS. Okay, so that's how this is also going to help you. Then of course, preamble, fundamental rights, directive principles, parliamentary system, all of them a part of your GS. Okay, Kani ikkada kuda, as I told you, unlike the general studies students, you will go a step further and understand them a little deeper. Okay, which will actually give you very, very high scores in general studies. All of this is a part of your GS. Next, everything, union government, president, prime minister, council of ministers, state, governor, okay, attorney general, CAG, all of them that you study here. Panchayat Raj institutions and municipalities, again, how you study as a part of your GS, they're all covered here. Significance of the 73rd and the 74th Amendment Act. Can you tell me the significance of the 73rd Amendment Act? It gives constitutional status to panchayats and municipalities. 73rd Amendment Act gives a constitutional status to panchayats and 74th Amendment Act gives constitutional status to municipalities. Significance ఏంటి వాటిది అవి చదువుకోవాలి అంతే. వెరీ సింపుల్ అండ్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దెమ్ ఆర్ ఎ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ జిఎస్ ఓన్లీ. ఓకే, జిఎస్ లో ఏంటంటే ఇవన్నీ మీరు సపరేట్ చదువుకుంటారు. ఇక ఏంటంటే పొలిటికల్ సైన్స్ లో భాగంగా యూ స్టడీ దెమ్. దట్స్ ఆల్. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ you have all these bodies mentioned in your Indian polity and governance. All these bodies are specifically mentioned as constitutional and statutory bodies in polity and governance. All of them are a part of your GS study only. So you're not studying anything that's different. You're studying only those which are also there as a part of your general studies. Kani ikkada GS, whatever you study here as a part of political science, it will value add to your understanding of your general studies. Okay. Next you have federation. Can you tell me what is the meaning of federation? Federalism. Yes, a form of government in which the powers are divided between the center and the states, where governments are organized at two levels, the central and the state level. Okay, this is a federation. Here, all things that you study as a part of your GS, you study here as a part of your political science. Interstate disputes, changing nature, constitutional provisions, అన్ని మీ GS చదివేయండి. Okay, one step further you go here. Okay, and in trying to understand it in the form of integrationist tendencies, ante same thing, changing nature. How is it that center state relations in recent times are showing more and more integrationist tendencies? Centralization, tendencies of centralization. I told you, right? Planning. A lot of your economy is covered as a part of your political science syllabus. I told you, right? So, planning, nature of planning, role of public sector, green revolution, land reforms, agrarian relations, liberalization, economic reforms, economic policies, okay, developmental strategies, all of them you study as a part of your general studies in economy. That's also covered here in political science. Okay. Next, these are areas which are related to social issues in India: caste, religion, ethnicity. Here you study the role of caste in Indian politics. They're all very general topics. Okay, tell me, does caste influence Indian politics? We all know this. In political science, what you do is you try to understand the word caste, how the word caste had evolved, what kind of role it played earlier, and what kind of role it is playing today. And say 10 points on that. You are through with that topic. 20 to 25 minutes, you're through with this topic. Not more than 20 to 25 minutes. Hypothetical. 10 points. Caste is influencing in the party system. Caste is influencing in selection of candidates by political parties to contest elections. Caste is being used as a tool for political mobilization for political parties. Caste is being used as a tool for vote bank politics. Okay, caste is determining the nature of political leadership within the parties, within the political parties. About 8 to 9 points on how caste is influencing Indian politics. My friend, same religion. Is religion influencing political parties in this country? Yeah, it's influencing, isn't it? How? 8 to 10 points, right? How it was influencing earlier and how it is influencing today. What is the meaning of communalism? All this you study as a part of social issues in general studies. They are also covered as a part of your political science. I told you, right? You study these topics in political science, they value add to your preparation in general studies. And that's the reason why political science students are very, very strong in GS. Okay? All these are also a part of your general studies only. See? Nature of political parties and party system. Recently, you have questions on even the, what is that? The Representation of People's Act 1950-1951, isn't it? Our party system is based on the statutory provisions of the RPA 50 and 51. You study about party systems, you study about pressure groups, coalition politics. All these are a part of your GS. Everything. In governance, you study about pressure groups. You study about interest groups as a part of your governance. So everything that you study here is also going to be useful for your GS. Okay? Social movements, I told you, right? You have social issues in general studies. Paper 1, GS, has social issues. All of them will be covered here. You have women's movements, environmental movements. Have you heard about the Chipko movement? Chipko, Ujjimam, Vinnara? Right? You study about that here as a part of environmental movement. Koncham brief ga, what it is, why did it occur, what was the impact. Okay? So all of them are a part of your social issues. Right? So that was paper 1. Okay? You realize that around 60% of paper 1 is a part of your general studies. 60%. Right? Now let us look at paper 2. Actually, right? Comparative politics. This is one segment of the syllabus which is also there in your GS. Comparison between Indian and American political systems. Comparison between Indian and the English political systems. But here, our approach will be very broad. Okay? Comparative politics as a whole has 3 units in section A paper 1, and all the 3 units in section A paper 1 will be completed within 4 or 5 days. Anta easy. It's very easy. Okay? How the state in comparative perspective. State in developed countries, state in developed countries, state in developing countries. Capitalist, socialist, and developing societies. How is the state behaving in developing countries like India? Okay, mana government, mana netla చూసుకుంటుంది. Developed countries government, అక్కడ ప్రజలను ఎట్లా చూసుకుంటుంది. Okay, can you make out a difference? How the state is behaving in developed Western countries and how the state is behaving in developing countries like India. Is there a difference? Can you see a difference? Yes. Don't you think that in our country, the government is assuming too many welfare responsibilities? Yeah. In the developed countries, the state doesn't assume such high levels of welfareism. Okay? There is a way in which the state operates in developing countries and developing countries. We just make a comparison. Ante. It's only a comparative study. It's very easy, as I told you, right? Next, political parties. How are the political parties in developed countries and how are the political parties in developing countries? Like, for example, in India, okay? We have political parties which are organized based on kinship ties, isn't it? Fathers, sons, grandsons. There are political parties in this country. So political parties are very, very broadly based on kinship ties in countries like India, which are developing countries. In developed countries, political parties are clearly differentiated based on ideology. Ideology. For example, in America, we have two major political parties. Indian Davi, Democrats and Republicans. Democrats, they represent a socialist and welfare agenda, and they are representative of the middle classes and lower classes. Republican parties, they are neoliberal rightist, and they represent capitalists and military industrial complexes. So there is very, very clear-cut ideological differentiation between the developing countries and the parties in developing countries and parties in the developed countries. Our differences మనం అర్థం చేసుకుంటాం. Pressure groups ఉన్నాయి, for example. In our country, are pressure groups playing a independent role, or are the pressure groups in countries like India affiliated to political parties? Excuse me? Affiliated to political parties. Are you sure? Let us look at the students' organizations. మీకు తెలిసిన స్టూడెంట్స్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్స్ ఏమైనా ఉన్నాయా? SFI, affiliated to CPI. ఇంకా NSUI, National Students Union of India, affiliated to Indian National Congress. They have AVVP, Akhila Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad, affiliated to BJP. You know? So, these organizations are not able to play an independent role. We have labor unions. Have you heard about these labor unions? Labor unions in the industries. We have AISF, students. AISF. This is affiliated to CPM, All India Students Federation. Okay? Atle labor unions unnayandi manaki kada. Labor unions kuda, each of this labor union is associated with one political party or another. For example, we have All India Trade Union Congress. We have Indian National Trade Union Congress. We have Central Trade Union Congress. Or we have, Hind Mazdoor Sangh. Each of these trade unions are affiliated to one or another political parties. So the pressure groups in this country are not able to play an independent role. They are all affiliated to political parties. Developed countries and Western countries, there the trade unions, the students' organizations, women's organizations, they all play an independent role. They are not affiliated to any political party. Differences. Okay? Just very simple concepts. I told you, right? The entire 3 units of the comparative politics can be finished in 4 or 5 days. It's very simple, right? Then of course we have this international relations. Starting from here, globalization. It's a part of your GS. Remember, in general studies you study globalization. You study the impact of globalization, and so many times the questions on globalization have appeared in general essay as well. Okay? So remember that they're all going to be useful for your GS. Then of course, approaches to study of international relations. Idealism. Tell me, do you think that India is a peace-loving country? What do you think? Do you think we are a peace-loving country? Yes? This is what's called as idealism. India is a peace-loving country. Can you prove it, madam? We have never fought with wars with other countries.
But we are
3 wars with Pakistan and 1 war with China. Okay?
But we are the largest country in the Europe. We are giving so much force for peace. So with that,
Okay. Is India against nuclear weapons?
no,
India is against nuclear weapons. But India has become the 6th nuclear weapon state. Is India's Panchashil against interference in internal affairs of other countries? Yes. Panchashil says that India should not interfere in internal affairs of other countries. But we have interfered in Sri Lanka. We've interfered in Bangladesh. We've also interfered in Maldives. You know, is India against weapons, arms and ammunition? Is India against them? India proposes disarmament. But India is the world's largest importer of arms and ammunition from 2020 to 2025 for 5 years. At a stretch, India was the world's largest importer of arms and ammunition. How do you explain that? No. India had never violated international law. India had violated international law. Had India not occupied another country's territory? Have we or have we not? We have. In 1961, India occupied Goa, which belongs to Portuguese. చేయాల్సిన తప్పులన్నీ చేశాం కదా.
How do you say that
Goa was under the sovereignty of the Portuguese in 1961. In 1961, India conducted the military action, occupied Goa, which was in violation of international law. You know, we also have done our thing, but we still call ourselves as idealists. This is idealism. Reality is that India pursues power in the disguise of peace. We actually are pursuing power. మాట్లాడే మాటలు పీసే, కానీ ట్రూత్ ఏంటంటే we are also pursuing power. You know, that's the reason why we tested nuclear device. We have occupied territory. We have interfered in internal affairs of our neighbors. We have emerged as the world's largest importer of arms and ammunition. This is realism. We cannot keep speaking about peace. We have to speak about peace, but we have also the imperative and compulsion of protecting our borders, our boundaries, our territories. Like there are people who are ready to occupy our territories. We have to be realist. That's an approach to understand the behavior of international relations. All this is important for you, even for your general studies. Okay? So, see, look at the topics that we study here. These are concepts only. All these are concepts, right? This is one segment of the syllabus which is pure political science actually. But whatever that you study as a part of your GS, your current affairs, is going to value add to your answers here. Okay? And all these concepts can be used by you in adding value to your answers in GS. So don't worry. Something which is related to GS only we are studying. Okay? This is all a part of your world history, collapse of Soviet Union, the emergence of American hegemony, relevance of NAM, non-alignment movement, and the rise of superpowers. Okay? All these are a part of your world history, contemporary world history, you know. Next, World Trade Organization, then International Monetary Fund, World Bank, all of them, as I told you, you study them. Globalization, third world demand for new international economic order. Okay? Next, United Nations Organization. This is also important for your GS, isn't it? Last year there was a question in General Studies about United Nations Organization and the agency which was specifically related to counter terrorism under United Nations Organization. You study about UN, the need for reforms, all these things you study here. This is also related to General Studies. See? Next, you have this regionalization of all these you study as a part of your GS. You have international organizations given in your general studies. Okay? So whatever you study here, they're also going to be useful for your GS. Okay, so don't worry. There is nothing that you're going to study here specially. EU, ASEAN, EPIC, SARC. Have you heard about SARC? South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. You know, all these are international organizations which you study as a part of your GS. In political science, you become strong in these areas. Okay, right? Then of course, idi koncham political science proper syllabus. Okay, you study about how democracy had influenced international relations. How concept of democracy. Today, are dictatorial regimes being condemned by the world or not? Are dictatorial regimes isolated and seen as untouchable nations or not? You know, how each of these issues is affecting international relations is what you will study as a part of contemporary global concerns. Okay, so this is about section A. Section B, last section in the political science syllabus. It is only India and world, and everything that you study as a part of your GS international relations figures in this syllabus. Okay, that 50 to 60 marks that you have in mains and all the things that you study in your preliminary, okay, as a part of international relations, they all figure here. Everything that you study as a part of current affairs, international relations, you will use here. And all the information that you learn here, you will use in your current affairs. Okay, so there is nothing that is outside your GS. Okay, see, non-alignment movement, India's role in NAM. Okay, Indian foreign policy, determinants of Indian foreign policy. What are the factors which determine Indian foreign policy? Tell me, what factors determine our foreign policy? What factors they influence our foreign policy? Excuse me? Trade. Okay, we want to develop trade relations with a lot of regions in the whole world. We want to enter into trade deals. You know, recently we entered into a trade deal with Oman. Okay, we finalized trade deals with you know, ASEAN. We finalized trade deals with UAE, with Australia, with America. You know, trade deals. Trade is a different. Apart from that, of course, you have geography. India is the most powerful country in South Asia. We have our history. We suffered colonization. Therefore, an important principle of our foreign policy is anti-colonialism. We suffered racialism. Therefore, another important principle of our foreign policy is anti-racialism. You know, all these are determinants of our foreign policy. They are all very important for your GS. GSIR. You study them also as a part of India's foreign policy. Okay, in political science. Then NAM, of course, current role, different phases of NAM, how India had, you know, conducted itself in NAM. Then India and South Asia, Look East policy, right? All this is a part of your GS, sir. Everything that you study here is a part of your general studies. Next, India's relations with Latin America and Africa. 2024, there was a question on India-Africa relations in general studies, paper 2. Look at the past question papers, you'll see this question. Okay, right? India, and of course, these are every year in your GS paper also you have one of these questions or another. India, US, Kani, India, EU, India, China, India, Russia, a question man can isn't it? So, what you study here is completely associated and completely related to here also. All these are important also. UN reforms, UN in general essay, UN, Madam Chakravarti, India contributed maximum to the UN peacekeeping missions. Today, as of now, you know which country is contributing highest to UN peacekeeping missions in terms of personnel? Bangladesh. Okay, right? Surprised, isn't it? Bangladesh. This is why do you think that India should have a permanent seat in United Nations Security Council? Why do you think India should have this? Because India is the world's largest populated country. India is the 6th nuclear weapon state. India is the top 5 largest economies in the whole world. India has contributed greatest to the peacekeeping missions. India never defaulted on its financial commitments to UN. అయిపోయింది 6 points. You can write an answer on that. ఈ 6 points చాలు నీ ఆన్సర్ రాసేయడానికి. Isn't it? It's that easy actually. Okay, India and the nuclear question. Okay, we have something called India's nuclear doctrine. Have you heard about that? No first use, non-use against non-nuclear weapon states, civilian command to be in the hands of civilian authority, nuclear command to be in the hands of civilian authority. India seeks to develop a triad of nuclear delivery systems. India seeks to pursue credible minimum deterrence. You know, the question of India's nuclear changing perspectives. Please remember that previously, earlier, we were against NPT and CTBT. Okay, now India is saying we are ready to negotiate on NPT and CTBT. You know, changing perspectives, how India is changing its perspective. They're all very easy and nothing here is difficult. Okay, last topic is this. Recent developments in Indian foreign policy. In recent times, whatever the changes that are taking in our foreign policy. Anything that you can see as far as Afghanistan is concerned in recent times, was there any change in our foreign policy? We support Taliban. We actually, please remember that in the 1990s, at the time of the Afghan civil war, India was against Taliban. Okay? But after that, after Taliban was dismantled and America went into occupation of Afghanistan, India, after the withdrawal of US, began to collaborate with Taliban. You know, position on recent crisis in Afghanistan. Okay, how India's foreign policy is oriented towards Afghanistan. Please remember that Afghans love Indians. You know that, right? India cricket match గెలిచింది అనుకోండి, మనకంటే ఎక్కువ వాళ్ళు సెలబ్రేట్ చేసుకుంటారు అఫ్ఘనిస్తాన్ లో. You know, there is distribution of sweets and dancing in the streets and processions and all that. Why is it that Afghans love Indians so much? You know why? Because in the last 10 to 15 years, India had been pursuing what's called as goodwill diplomacy in Afghanistan. You know, India constructed highways. India constructed the National Parliament Bhavan. India is constructing hospitals. India is providing for primary health centers. India is constructing dams. There is a dam called the Salma Dam, the India-Afghanistan Friendship Dam. You know, India had pursued so much of, you know, goodwill diplomacy in Afghanistan that India was able to touch the lives of ordinary Afghans. You know, Indian tourists are in Afghanistan and they're not charged in the hotels. You know, chalo hamari taraf se and cheppi kuchebeti tinpistaranta hotels, right? This is the kind of goodwill that India had earned in Afghanistan. What is India's policy towards Afghanistan? This is what we learn here, right? As far as West Asia, Israel. In recent times, Israel had emerged as a very close friend of India. You know that? As Israel is conducting genocide in Gaza also, India is keeping quiet. Earlier, India never had any relationship with Israel. India actually cold-shouldered Israel. But now, India is closely associated with Israel. Right? So, our policies are slowly changing towards US and Israel. Vision of a new world order. What is our vision of an ideal world that we want to establish? What is India's vision? Excuse me? I can't get you, madam. Vikasit Bharat is developed India is our dream. What is our dream for the world? Vasudhaika Kutumbikam. Have you heard about that? The world as a single family is our vision. A world without trade barriers. A world which is based not on competition but on cooperation. A world in which there are no nuclear weapons. A nuclear weapon-free world is our vision of an ideal world order. It is this that we understand. This is political science. Okay? Kings, kingdoms, constitutions, governments, revolutions, and ideologies. This is what we study in political science. A very rich and a varied content. Okay? Political science is a journey, my dear friends. It's a journey of discovery. A revelation of a new world to us. A very rewarding and a very fruitful journey as far as civil services is concerned. I've known instances when Some of my students, political science start in 1 month ki, they have Che Guevara or Karl Marx as their DP. వాట్సాప్ మీరు పెట్టుకున్నారు, మీ ఫ్రెండ్స్ పెట్టుకున్నారు, ఎవరన్నా పెట్టుకుంటారు, మీరు పెట్టుకున్నారా? చూసారా? దట్ ఈస్ ద ఇంపాక్ట్ ఆఫ్ పొలిటికల్ సైన్స్. ద సబ్జెక్ట్ ఈస్ వెరీ అబ్జార్బింగ్ అండ్ ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్. It opens new vistas and helps us understand ourselves better. Okay, so think about political science as a choice for civil services. Okay, and whatever is the consequence, by the time we finish off with the syllabus of political science, trust me, you will be strong not only in political science but in general studies as well. This is my promise. Okay. Any doubts? You can ask me about political science. Don't worry, political science is very easy. Okay? And there is nothing in political science you cannot understand. And of course, it's also the most rewarding to think about political science. Okay?